Good morning and welcome to the Morning Coffee Show. I'm Prince Hakeem.
I'm Amanda Love.
And today we'll be discussing something that's been in the news. And before we actually get too far into the show today, we want to say, give our condolences to Nipsey Hussle's family, friends, and loved ones. It's a sad day in history. There's really not much we can say about that. I know a lot of people has been giving their condolences, and I've seen a lot of murals and things like that people have been making around the city in California. So I want to say, hey, stay strong. We pray for the family and friends of brother Nipsey Hussle. So today's show is going to be about Nipsey Hussle and some things that you may or may not know about him. Also, it ties into Dr. SEBI as well. So for those people who have been watching the news, you've seen a lot more about Dr. SEBI. If you've never heard about him before, you definitely heard about it now. Because Nipsey was doing a documentary about Dr. SEBI and the fact that he was curing people using holistic and natural herbs and fruits and just food itself. And he won a case, so we'll talk about that as well. Then we also talk about Nipsey and the things he was doing in the community, some things that you may or may not know that he was involved in. So we just want to share light on our brother's life as well, both of those extraordinary men's life. So, Nipsey Hussle.
I'm like, that was a long...
It was a lot. I just want to make sure...
Did you do that all in one breath?
Yeah. I just want to make sure they got it all,
Okay.
Make sure they got it all. So, Nipsey Hussle, this young man, he was only like 33 years old.
He was 33.
And for being 33, the things he'd done in his community, I admire that part of it. Mm-hmm. For a lot of people that didn't know, he's really a self-made man. From the beginning to the end of his life, he's really been doing a lot of things as self-made. You was researching some things about him, right?
I found a couple of things that, I'm not big on listening to rap music, especially now. Because, I'm an 80s, 90s baby. So...
She is.
But just in doing research about him and making sure that the discussion we have is doing it justice. And he really was, like you said, self-made. I was looking at like him taking a trip to Africa, spending 3 months there researching where he really came from and how much that changed his life. And him selling his mixtape for $100 and how much he made doing that. I really respected that, we're not told enough to represent what we're really worth.
Right.
And I watched him in an interview. He talked about selling his mixtape for $100. He also talked about, up to the present point of doing that interview, how some of the merchandise in his store was, I only have 500 of these. So they're being sold at $200-$300 a piece. And, somebody's like, oh, isn't that a lot for a hat? And he's like, nah, it's a quality hat and there's only 500. So they're limited edition. That's what they're worth. Yeah. And I respected that he knew his worth.
Exactly.
And he knew how extraordinary what he was bringing to the table was. Yeah. And not enough of us feel that way about ourselves or not confident enough in ourselves to demonstrate that way. And there was like no shame in it. He was just like, nah, it's a $300 hat. Like, that's what it is.
I think if you look at it in that manner, what's the worst can happen? They don't buy it, okay? Mm-hmm. But if they do buy it, right? Jay-Z bought 100 copies, so it's $10,000 that he purchased for his mixtape. Mm-hmm. This is a mixtape. It wasn't an album, none of that. But
and nobody knew who he was.
Well, in this area, but not.
But like it wasn't like worldwide. It wasn't like nationwide.
He was starting out.
He didn't expect that. That wasn't something.
Right.
He didn't even. It wasn't like Jay-Z gave him a call. It was a point of contact that he talked about. Somebody that had seen him, and kind of passed around the word. Yeah. And contacted him and just said, Jay wants this many of those. We'll send you a box. Like that has to be that has to be a humbling feeling to say somebody heard me and really believes in that. Yeah.
To spend $100 on a mixtape. And I'm not saying that Jay was the only one that bought a mixtape. Mm-hmm. And it was many people that actually bought mixtapes from him in that era when he was selling for $100. But he set the tone going forward on how you should deal with me. Mm-hmm. Right? So a lot of times in business we sell ourselves short because we're trying to make a name for ourselves. We're trying to get out there. But he said, hey, from the beginning, my price is this, and this is how we're going to conduct business going forward. I'm pretty sure it didn't stay $100 going forward, but he let you know off the top, this is what it is. The reason I like to talk about that part of it is because he showed people in his community that you can do that. The young men that are, that don't see a way out and think that their worth is just $5, $10. How many people you see on the corner selling mixtapes, even for $1? He said, hey, listen, you ask for what you want. You don't just get what you want. And
know the quality of what you're giving.
Exactly.
And then his trip, when he talked about taking that trip to Africa and meeting people and spending time with his family that he didn't know, and really looking at that and going, this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And this is what it is for my people and what they're doing and what they've had to go through to get to the point that they were.
Yeah.
And saying like, I'm going to go home and bring this back to the community, and really demonstrating that he believes in his people, that he believes in that community, and that he thinks it's worth more than what it's doing at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge because a lot of people don't have the opportunity to leave their community, let alone their state. Some people don't even leave their neighborhood. The fact that he was able to go do that, see how other places operate, and especially where we came from, the source of that, say, hey, let me bring this back. Because, living in the hood, I was in LA not too long ago, and I can tell you they have some beautiful places in LA. They also have some places like where he's from, Crenshaw, is a little tough areas. But, to say, hey, it's known for these particular things doesn't mean that we can't do something different. The fact that he invested into businesses in his neighborhood and gave people jobs. They had like a short little documentary about him. And this one older man was saying, hey, Nipsey was the only one who took a chance on me to give me a job. I just clean up the parking lot and he pays me.
And that's true too, right? I was reading, I had watched an interview where he talked about the store marathon, and read a couple articles where it was saying that a lot of his employees were either known felons or had records, parolees that couldn't get jobs anywhere else.
Yeah.
And his company was one of the ones that was like, it's fine, like, we're gonna give you a chance.
Yeah, and that just shows the community, like, look, we're not just gonna throw you away, we're gonna help you find a way. A lot of them were up and coming artists as well, so you understand the struggle of that. I was watching a part of that documentary. His brother, I believe, was selling like shirts, like packs of this white t-shirts and socks and stuff across the street from where Marathon is located currently. And the cops kept coming out, confiscating their stuff, saying, hey, you can't sell it here. If you want to, sell it legitimately, get an actual building, pay rent, do it the right way, right? So they looked across the street. That shopping center was there. It had a for sale, or actually a lease sign in the window. They went over, and that's when they started the first part of that business. And Nipsey understood the process of owning things, and not only just that particular. We talk about that particular shopping center because a lot of things happens, a lot of history there, and then obviously the end of his life happened there. But he did other things inside the community. He was working with the LAPD. The very next day, he was supposed to meet with the head of the police department to talk about bringing help bring crime down in the area, uniting the gangs and things like that. Crime in that area have been down over the last, I believe, 5 years or so. I may be a little bit off, but have been down. It doesn't say that it went away, but gang-related crimes have been dramatically dropped in that area based on some of the things that he did with other people in the community. So I have to say, hey man, that's huge. And I think that's why I hurt the community so bad,
No, it really did. I was doing there was so much more to him than just music.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of different business ventures going on. He talked a lot about reinvesting in the community, doing realty type stuff where it was like buying like co-working space. So it was basically like buying businesses, sharing space, basically just reinvesting in positive things in the community for kids, for, like you said, just building things up and inspiring people.
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen and read, he was a gang member previous to him getting into music, and really that whole trip to Africa just changed his life. Yeah.
I imagine, for most people that had the opportunity, you have to come back and change something because you've seen something different. And to your point, he did have a consultant agency marathon agency, and then also that working space where people can come in and actually come up with different ideas. I think when you give people options, which he was trying to do, you get the change. That's where you start change. And so when I heard about Nipsey, passing, I automatically went to first thinking about his family. Like, man, that was a huge blow. I heard always positive things about Nipsey. Even from the first time I heard about Nipsey Hussle, I heard about his grind, his passion, and then automatically hit me. This guy was doing some really huge things in the neighborhood, in this community, outside the community, with people with inside the industry as well. He started his own label, so he owned his own label, and he also joined. He was part of a group. Let me just find it really quick. Artists for Haiti. And back in 2010, he formed a super group similar to like the We Are the World type of thing. During a time when, Haiti was going through its issues. So, I think this guy wasn't just thinking local, they wanted to try to paint him as a gangbanger and things like that. But, people past are a past. It's not what they are currently representing. His association with the gangs, if you really think about it, wasn't a negative thing. Him being associated with the gangs helped bring peace. He united the Crips and the Bloods.
He used he used his previous life to kind of bring peace to the neighborhood, really, by promoting that this is where I came from, but it can change. A lot of I found an article in Forbes that talked about him wanting to get into real estate. He invested with DJ Khaled in I want to say it was like 160 rooms or something like that, like a hotel, building up the community really, and just trying to give back. And not enough, I don't think enough people making that kind of money spend their time doing things like that.
Yeah. And he made the best of his money and time. Well, a lot of people don't know, Nipsey wasn't just like your up-and-coming artist. His net worth at the time of his death was $8 million. That's for an independent artist. That's for an independent business owner. That speaks value.
And this is not like somebody giving you a contract. This is self-made.
Oh, I made all this.
This is mine.
This $8 million, all me.
The store was built by him and his brother. The label, all these investments and stuff this is all stuff he was doing single-handedly that he came up with. This is not some like people try to make it out to be some street kid that didn't know any better and went and found investors and gave other people money, like people were giving him money. He was really coming up with this stuff on his own. And
I believe he may have some strong people around him as well that would help guide him and help him along. But he was the leader of that situation as well. He had 2 kids, a daughter that was a little older, and I believe a 2-year-old son with Lauren London as well. He leaves a legacy to them as well. I think if you had to think about young kids losing a parent like that, they can look back at his legacy and say, hey, my dad already set the tone for what we should be doing, and pick up from there. Now, a lot of people had some conspiracy theories about what happened. We can kind of talk on it just a little bit. Because when you talk about conspiracy theories, you have to be careful what you say and how you say it, because you just don't know. It's all speculation. But because Nipsey was so prominent in his neighborhood and doing a lot of great things for his people, there's on the opposite spectrum of that, there's people that don't want you to do that. Because they can't benefit from it or be counterbalanced to what they want to happen as well. So,
so touch really quick before we get into the conspiracy theory. He was doing a lot of research.
Yes, he was.
Especially on the research given by Dr. SEBI. Which a lot of people, I think, I knew who it was, but it was because there was a time where I really got into nutrition and how different things could benefit us in different ways. And Dr. Sebi really put out a lot of information like that during his time. But Nipsey was planning on doing a full documentary on Dr. Sebi's research. And during Dr. Sebi's time, a lot of people were trying to shut him up then. So as of now, Nick Cannon has put out basically that he was going to take over the research. He plans to keep going with what he had already had. He plans to release, if not something like it, or something close to, or I don't know if he has full access to that research or what, but he's already said like that information is not going to die with Nipsey.
Yeah, because Nipsey and Nick Cannon both had a relationship with Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi disclosed a little bit more information to Nipsey than he did Nick, because I believe Nick didn't ask a lot of questions, but Nipsey wanted to know. And I'm a full believer, the more you know, the more you grow, but then the more at risk you could possibly be as well. Because when people think that you know too much, they kind of want to shush you up a little bit. Nick Cannon is doing a great thing by keeping it going. So yeah, he was doing the documentary on Dr. Sebi, and if you don't know who Dr. Sebi is, or if you just recently heard about him, you can definitely, he has a website you can go to. We'll put it down here for you as well. But he's a holistic doctor. He did not have any actual training. He did not go to school to be a doctor. He's from Honduras, and he talks about in his time where he wasn't eating healthy and he wasn't doing all the natural things his whole entire life. But when he changed his life, he sees some things change in him. And when he started treating other people, he's seen it change as well. One of the things I saw that Dr. Sebi was talking about, he had a lecture. He said that back in, I think, 1964, he was married, and he says, man, I was so angry. I had all this like mental anguish, and I felt like I was losing my mind. I wanted to kill my wife. And they ended up putting me in a mental hospital. And what he found was the food he was eating was causing a chemical imbalance in his body. And what a lot of people don't know is whatever you put in your body does change the chemical balance in your body. So if there's a lot of extra fried foods or red meats or things that aren't really supposed to be in your body, it could mess with the psychological state of yourself. But he talked about when he changed his diet, all that went away. Because they really thought this guy was completely nuts. He said they thought I was nuts. I was in an actual psych ward because they thought I was that crazy. But as he changed his diet, he did some changing there, and then he started to study like different nutrition-based things, different minerals and fruits and natural holistic things. He started like working with other people that had high blood pressure, HIV, AIDS, diabetes. I mean, the list goes on, but he helped cure some of those things. But back in the 80s, they tried to say that he was practicing without a license with all these false allegations. So
Dr. Sebi's beliefs were that there were 6 fundamental food groups: live, raw, dead, hybrid, genetically modified, and drugs. He basically cut out all the food groups except for live and raw that encouraged people to eat as close to a raw vegan diet as possible. So basically anything you eat, not having any chemicals, not having any kind of like mass production. Basically everything you eat is directly from the earth like it was designed to be. And he was saying that when he did that, his life, his health, his functioning drastically changed.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you see videos of him, he's like pretty old and functioning pretty well.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of friends who have tried Dr. Sebi's suggestions, and I've seen people's bodies change completely. I mean, I have a friend that did it, a guy, and he did it for, I want to say it was just 30 days. He looked like he worked out every day and didn't hit the gym one time. Because a lot of that food, the way it interacts with cell production, and it's just basically eating like how your body was designed to eat.
Right.
And it works with what we already have in our body to create. It's incredible. Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about it, right? Everything in nature has a design. So what a polar bear eats is designed strictly for a polar bear. What an eagle eats is strictly designed for an eagle. We eat whatever. It wasn't always like that. But as time progressed and things became more accessible and quick and fast, and then you had alternative motives behind the food, when we stopped hunting for our food or gathering for our food, And when I say hunting, I'm not saying tracking down a deer or go fishing necessarily, but we used to go gather berries and other fruits and nuts and herbs and things that will help our bodies operate the way it's supposed to. But everything has a design. So to his diet, just taking back to the design of your body, and you'll see the complete difference. I'll share. I haven't eaten meat in like 2 months. I lost weight, more tone, like my body toned up a little bit on its own, but I do feel different just by cutting that part out. And I don't really have a desire to go back to eating meat right now. I'm not a vegetarian or anything, but I don't have the desire to eat meat.
But it's just not something you feel like doing right now.
Yeah, I can do without it. I just want my body to be able to process better. So with Dr. Sebi's suggestions with his diet, his alkaline diet, it really helped a lot of people. I see you have a list of things right there.
So
right?
Dr. Sebi had a set list on things that we could eat, even down to like herbs and spices that inspire different flavoring. So he literally outlined what vegetables, what fruits, grains, nuts, seeds, oil, spices, seasonings, and what they do. So even down to like mild flavors, like it lists mild flavors: basil, bay leaves, cloves, dill, oregano, and then it goes into like spicy, cayenne pepper, habanero, sage. But these are all things, again, that are just grown from the earth and straight onto your food. And then sea salt, granulated seaweed, because some fish or some things in the sea is salt water, salt. You don't need to go buy it in a jar because that's processed. So he's basically just saying take what we already have. So sweet flavors are going to be dates, like sugar, and agave syrup. Then it goes into like different herbal teas, which is a lot of things that we already do. Things like chamomile tea, fennel, ginger, raspberry, different grains, different nuts and seeds, walnuts, Brazilian nuts, things that's our source of protein. If we're not eating meat, you can do that in place of and still be just as healthy. Yeah. And that's what he was doing, and that's part of why he lived so long. Yeah. But it was really just to say that to keep our bodies clean and to align. Like he even talks about water, and how you should be drinking like spring water or purified water, because even drinking water from the tap, there's so many chemicals and so many things that just go into cleaning piping, or if somebody's pouring bleach down your pipe and then you drink water from the tap, guess what? You just drank bleach. Or it talks about microwaving food, the radiation involved with microwave, and all this is stuff that we know and we've kind of like heard of, but a lot of his research goes more into depth about how to keep ourselves healthy in a natural way. And I can see why somebody would want to shut you up if that's what you're doing, because
you're about to mess up industries, which when you're talking about don't microwave your food. If you do, only microwave it in glassware, not plasticware, right? So that's something I've seen that he talked about. And plastic, there's certain chemicals that get absorbed into your food when you microwave it. And so you're putting that into your body, which causes a chemical change. If you put it in glass doesn't hold any chemical, right? But if you can eliminate, microwaving any of your food at all, then you won't get any type of radiation. We get some sort of radiation regardless. Like it's a natural thing. We get radiation from the sun, we get radiation from just walking around from different things, but low level radiation. When you put high radiation into your body, levels of radiation in your body, you'll start to see different things. Cancer, you're more susceptible to cancer and skin diseases and things like that. So my point to that is you're messing up industries, which means the people that makes the microwaves, the people that make the microwave meals, the people that make the plastic that you can use in a microwave, all those people, they're like, wait a minute.
And all the people that make the drugs to combat all those things you get.
You're messing up.
You're messing a lot of systems that make people a lot of money. Especially if you're eliminating a lot of that disease, infection. I mean, when people start actually catching on, and then you think about what Nipsey was doing, how many people were listening to him, how popular he was, and the demographics of people listening to him. And we won't get into all of that because that's another topic. But there's when you look at who's doing what, and there's a specific population of people that pay attention. If I'm the person who doesn't want that population to get better, to be more healthy, to be more aware, to be more woke, if you say, why would I want somebody talking about that?
Right. That's not going to work for them. So, you know, people say, well, it wasn't the government that took Nipsey out or took Dr. Sebi out. So, you know, Dr. Sebi died in the care or the custody of the Honduras police, right? Back in 2016, they say he had complications from pneumonia. This is the guy that lived his life on a clean alkaline diet. They asked, why was he in custody in the first place? And they said, well, basically they accused him of money laundering at the airport. You know, Dr. Sebi probably carried a lot of money with him based on receiving money for treatment and stuff like that. But they tried to hit him up for money laundering. And in the custody, he died for complications from pneumonia. Well, if you know anything about pneumonia, it attacks, it's like an infection that attacks your body or whatever, but his body's been so clean, it shouldn't really affect him that badly. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the point where it'll kill you.
Because eating the diet that he was eating, it would almost eliminate anyone from having any mucus. Well, pneumonia has to do with water buildup. So naturally, I mean, we all know if we get the flu, what are we doing? Coughing up a bunch of garbage and spitting it out.
Yeah, mucus,
which he wouldn't have had.
It wasn't in his diet.
So it just seems like those things don't really align with what they're saying happened.
Yeah.
Of course, conspiracy theories.
Well, let's jump into that part.
So some of the research that he was doing would have eliminated things like AIDS, sickle cell, lupus, herpes, and cancer. What would happen if we had something in a bottle that could eliminate those things?
If we don't need further treatments, almost no need for hospitals. Very little need. And hospitals are very big business. It's very big business. I mean, you see it all the time. They build a new wing on like every other month because it's big business. And something in our side note, for those who don't know, doctors take an oath not to cure you, but to treat you. It's a huge difference. So you're running around and you get mad at the doctor. Why aren't you saving my mom? Why aren't you saving my aunt? Why aren't you saving my grandpa? And they're like, I'm treating him. I'm treating her.
I'm keeping her alive and just sick
enough
to spend money on
to get a little bit more out of the situation. And if you really ever dealt with doctors, some have compassion, some don't. They understand the process was happening.
Bedside manner.
It's one of the worst things you can possibly see sometimes. But they know, like, no matter how badly they probably want to help save this person, that's not their job to do so. These are people that are prescribing medications that's going to make you sicker. So why would you think they want to save somebody in a situation? It's kind of...
So listen to this quote Dr. Sebi gave. The basis behind Dr. Sebi's approach is clearing the body of any excessive mucus, which is believed to be the root of most disease. So this is his quote. Our research reveals that all manifestation of disease finds its genesis when and where the mucous membrane has been compromised. For example, if there is excess mucus in the bronchial tubes, the disease would be bronchitis. If it's in the lungs, it's pneumonia. In the pancreatic duct, it's diabetes. In the joints, it's arthritis. So, therefore, if what's said about him dying is true, that means he wasn't doing
anything he was teaching or
at all
treating his people for, which doesn't make much
Moreover,
sense
mucus in the retina causes blindness, thyroid gland cancer. Basically, disease will arise wherever there's accumulation of stagnant toxins, which mucus is a stagnant toxin. So basically, if consuming an alkaline diet is what eliminates that, and that's what he was teaching, he would therefore eliminate any complicated disease.
Right.
Which Nipsey's point in revealing this was, how can I improve the quality of my community? By keeping people healthy.
Right.
And when we're healthy, we're smarter, we operate better, we think clearer.
So it goes down the line, right? So you get people healthy physically, their emotional and mental health is better.
You're stabilizing their emotional and mental health.
Because if you really, the conspiracy theories I hear a lot about is where you talk about the ghetto, the hood, the overall thought process of the people that live there, right? So they're criminals, they're erratic, they're always sick. But
if you think about all of those things,
right,
the basis of that is exactly what he was trying to eliminate. What they take in.
What you take in, right?
Is what causes your emotional instability.
And just in every neighborhood like that, you have liquor stores, fried chicken spots, any bad fast food you can think of is in these neighborhoods. Rarely any fresh anything's in these neighborhoods, let alone, you're not giving them an option. There's not a Whole Foods in the hood. There's not a fresh market in the hood. So he said, hey, listen, guys, we might want to do something like this. I can give you the option. You don't have to take it. But if you have an option, another choice, and I'm going to show you why you should take another choice, then when you have the ability to change people's minds and mindset, that's dangerous. Influence is dangerous. Because now they say, well, you know what, we don't want to do that anymore. It's like wearing a certain type of outfit. People, we don't wear that no more. We don't wear those anymore. Oh, so you're not going to eat the burgers and stuff no more? No, we don't eat that anymore. It's just that simple. Because you got somebody saying, hey, that's not cool anymore. If Jay-Z came out right now and says, eating fast food is not good for you, we stopped doing that. Watch how many people stop doing it.
And it doesn't even have to be everybody, but a good chunk of people would just, oh, I'm not eating fast. Jay-Z don't eat fast food. I'm not eating fast food. And I mean, when you think about the premise of just living healthy, it changes everything. Even down to like, I mean, I'm not an avid, I don't drink water 24/7.
I do. I like water.
But when you do, if you're not one of those people and you spent a day or two drinking a whole bunch of water like you're supposed to, 8 glasses a day, or look up, how many ounces you should have, it will drastically changes your energy level, changes clarity, changes the way you function, changes the way you sleep. I mean, it's amazing how much it can change. And that's just one small change. That's not including eating a plant-based diet or paying attention to how much, the alkaline balance in your diet, or it's not including any of that stuff. But imagine what kind of people you'd be building if people were eating that way.
On top of that, so we'll talk about Nipsey a little bit. So I heard a few different things. One is that, yes, he was looking into the Dr. Sebi's research and doing a documentary, trying to teach people to live a little bit better. But him uniting the gangs in that area, the thought process was that if we form together, we can get more things done. Think about it like this. That's an army. Who wants that type of army?
Nobody.
Because they don't care. If they have to get busy, they will. Who want that type of army? Because even the military don't want that type of army. And what a lot of people don't know is a lot of people in the military are gangbangers. Or ex-gangbangers.
Or have been.
Or affiliates of it. So you gotta understand, you're forming an army of people that can form together independently. They broke up the Black Panther Party, right? They looked down on the Nation of Islam, but they formed a group of people with the same common goal. And that was the embedment of their people. No one ever said, we want to overthrow the government, we want to start a race war, anything crazy like that. We just want to better our people. And both of these men, that's what they stood for all together. Now, who stands to gain anything from that? I don't know. I'm not going to say any theories or thoughts or names. I have no idea. But you have to think there's something or someone or a group of individuals He said, we can't allow that to happen. And if it does, this is the outcome of that. You have a group of suppressed people that are organizing, and they have leaders. Every leader that we had in the black and brown community is gone. Mm-hmm. And so you have a young one, which is in his 30s, then you had an older one. So you covered some bases there. You have the influence of the younger people, and then you have the influence of the older people. And these
and it's somebody that people are listening to.
They're listening to you.
And some place like LA,
yeah,
you have millions of people.
Oh yeah.
Because he's supporting his community, and in turn, his community is supporting him.
Yeah.
They're listening to everything he says. They're going to his store. They're supporting his products. Mm-hmm. And the bigger you get, the more people are going to hear you. Absolutely.
He has a platform where he can spread his message across the world. And people say, so all those people that say, well, his own man killed him. Like, his own people killed him. It was a gangbanger that killed him. So let's talk about that for a second. The guy that shot Nipsey is a known gang member, who also was a known informant. That's the first thing they said when they reported it.
And they were locked up together.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the guy got out, and then a few days later, he kills Nipsey. Mm-hmm. He cooperated with the police.
Literally a few days. I think it was
2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
He kills Nipsey. When he goes to kill him, he first shows up and says, make sure he was there. Nipsey told him, look, you can't be around here, you gotta go. It was no blows exchanged, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to say the guy was feeling, embarrassed or whatever.
Feeling the situation out.
Yeah.
And left.
Came back, shot him. Casually strolled off, then came back to make sure he was dead. Shot him again in the head.
No exchange of shots.
You're in front of his store.
He shot.
Other gang members was there.
He shot, and nobody's firing back.
Mm-hmm. So not only he shoots him twice, he comes back, shoots him in the head, strolls off, come back, kicks him in the head, and makes sure he's dead, and then he leaves. The whole time, none of the Nipsey people responds back. No other shots is fired. So it tells a story for me. I don't know. Only can speculate. It doesn't sound right. Mm-hmm. And the reason I get frustrated with that is because we tend to just want to say, oh, well, yeah, no, that's what happened. That's legit. People get jealous all the time.
Yeah, but you should question anything.
You just got out.
You should question
shoot somebody in broad daylight. You just got out 2 days ago. You shoot somebody in broad daylight and kill them. Not maim them or anything like that. 2 days after you get out.
And you left and you came back.
So your face is you have no mask on, no nothing. So to me, that sounded like it was an assassin that sent them. Or somebody sent him as an assassin. So.
Not to mention he had a getaway driver.
And he had a getaway driver.
And she got off scot-free, right? Hmm? So.
Oh, he has one of the best lawyers for his defense.
And he's a nobody. Nobody knows him. So some lawyer just came to your rescue for no reason, because it's a high profile case. That's what somebody's going to say, is because it's a high profile case.
Yeah.
He's doing it pro bono or whatever, just to be known.
They got to sell it to you a certain way. It's our job, because we have a platform that we report out on things that we hear and see. And I just want to kind of give you some information so you can form your own opinion and facts on it. But we just can't accept what they want us to accept when they say, hey, it was a jealousy thing, or the guy felt like he disrespected him. Nowhere. So for people that don't understand how gang things work, you can't greenlight somebody unless you have the green light. Someone has to greenlight that person.
So where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Who gave the order?
And why?
You just can't go around killing people like that, especially somebody that high profile. Mm-hmm. He's a millionaire Crip. You can't go off millionaire Crips. It doesn't work that way. So who gave the orders? What people need to really ask. It's not about the guy acted alone and he made a decision. He knew the consequences once that happened. People know me. They saw me.
And he didn't decide to do it that day.
No. You couldn't make the decision in that day. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't say, oh, no, he disrespected me today. I'm going to go back. I got to take care of this right now. You knew. You've been out for a couple of days. Mm-hmm. And you had to find an opportune time to catch him off guard a little bit. And one thing about Nipsey, I listened to one of his things. He said that he doesn't like to be unprepared, and he doesn't like he don't like to be too comfortable. He likes to know that everything's in order so he can relax. So it throws me off to think that he felt relaxed enough that somebody could sneak up on him in his business. So,
and I think I saw like his head of security wasn't working that day, or the normal team
wasn't
there that day.
Right. So it kind of like, I don't know.
It just seems like for
fishy.
some reason things like a whole lot of things were just off. Because I mean, I don't have my normal team in place.
This guy shows up.
And we're not talking about some like well-to-do kid that doesn't know. Like, if you're from the street, you know when something's off. Mm-hmm. You could kind of sniff that out.
Yeah.
So for him to be as relaxed as he was, and things, and you know, the people you normally have surrounding you are not surrounding you, and things just look crazy. It just looks crazy. The whole thing looks crazy.
I mean, to the point is, just ask yourself this one question. Why was the guy there in the first place? Mm-hmm. Why are you here? You know that you're a known informant. So you know you're coming to the hood where people know that they know you're a rat. Why are you here? So when informants are hired...
And how do you do it? Leave and come back.
When informants are hired, you're an informant. You're there for a few reasons. Either you're there to get more information, mm-hmm. you're there to get intel, or you're there to do a job. Why are you here? So I just put that out there. Let you think about it. You form your own opinion on it. I don't know.
Take it for what it's worth.
I'm not in the inside of that. I don't know, but take it for what it is.
And no, we don't have an informant.
I don't have any. I don't know anything. I'm on the East Coast.
We're speculating just like you guys.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just look at the facts, and I'm a fact type of person. I just deal with the facts. We can go off of speculation, and this person thinks that, this person thinks this. I even seen like a conspiracy theory saying that Dr. SEBI and Nipsey Hussle, Dr. SEBI is Nipsey's real father. I've seen some weird stuff, but those things I don't know either. But I can honestly say, if you just look at the facts, you're gonna form your own opinion.
And you're gonna be able to notice that just based on what you can find and what you look up, there's a lot of holes in the way some stories are formulated and given, that some things just don't add up.
Don't add up at all.
Some of the information given doesn't add up. The fact that you could, say, okay, somebody's gone and nobody knows anything about this specific thing or how this happened or why it happened. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
The one thing I would like to see is that people continue on with the message. Not just Nick Cannon, but I think we all should.
That people are actually doing research and looking into why was it such a big deal? Right. And why was it that Nipsey, before it even happened, had said, based on me doing this, I'm probably gonna die. Mm-hmm. So he knew. He knew. And in the interview, that there was one interview where he was talking about that consistently, and he basically just said, when I'm gone,
y'all better ride for me.
Just ride for me. Keep doing research.
Yeah. Don't believe. He said, don't believe what they tell you. He said it. He said, mm-hmm. He's jump off a building or some crazy. He said, don't believe that. Mm-hmm. Because it's not ever clear cut like that. It wasn't just.
It's not that simple.
It's not that simple. You gotta think, to get close to somebody like that, you had to have a certain level of access to that person. When I was in California, I was going to go by his store. Mm-hmm. And so I started thinking, imagine to myself, if I came to that store, could I have just walked up on Nipsey? Probably not. Mm-mm. I could walk to this room and say, hey, what's up, bro, man? Like, can I get a picture? It would probably been like 2-3 guys that kind of like.
And that's what anybody, even like, you see all these pictures of stars like walking around in New York. They're not just walking around. I mean, they may not be in the picture, but a couple feet ahead or a couple feet behind are their security team. Or right there in the street next to them, there's a car riding next to them. Like, people are just not worth millions of dollars and doing $1 million research and walking around chilling like nobody's doing nothing to them and they're untouchable. Mm-hmm. They know. And for a man to come on national like airwaves saying, I might die over this. Yeah. He knew.
He knew. Another piece of information that I thought about, kind of low off of it, but still with it. But so you remember Left Eye from TLC, right? So Left Eye actually sought out Dr. SEBI as well. When she passed away, she was in Honduras. Guess who she was visiting? I'm just saying. And if you've seen the little documentary of her when she got in the accident, everyone in the car looked like, oh my God, what is this? What's going on? And then the camera goes off. So what's happening? I don't know. But you gotta think they're high profile people. If they come out and say, hey, I endorse this,
a lot of people are gonna follow suit.
Yeah, you're pushing along an agenda that
and again,
somebody don't want.
You take a group of people, a population of people, and it's a group that another group doesn't want getting ahead, doesn't want to have a thorough understanding of how they could get ahead, of forwarding a specific agenda, of improving a group of people. You have to start eliminating the lead in that group.
Yeah.
And the lead is going to be anybody that's forwarding that agenda, whether it be researching and just providing information, whether it be a TV show or music or whatever. It's like they have to go.
Yeah.
Because they're going to upset the system.
Yeah. It just hit different. You know what I'm saying? Like this time, I know we dealt with this type of loss in our culture, and it just hit different with Nipsey because I think the guy really genuinely wanted to help his people. And
it wasn't only about music.
It wasn't only about music. It was a documentary, not a documentary, but an interview he was doing with Gary Vee. And he was saying, they met him in the studio. He was like, man, I've been so busy doing everything else. I haven't even given any energy to music. Like he's been giving so much energy to other things, like building other businesses for people, and this Dr. SEBI thing. Like he was just like, I have to get back in the mode of music. The music was the instrument. That's what started the. If he never did music, he had to do something big to get noticed.
But he was so intentional about the way he did things.
Absolutely.
Like he even talked about producing music and how much energy he puts into producing his own music. And they asked him, have you ever produced anything for anybody big? And he said, no, I've really just produced my own stuff. Because mind you, as far as like being on a label and putting out music, like an official album, he didn't do that until recently. Everything else was just his own stuff. And he said, no, I haven't produced anything for anybody big name. I've been doing my own stuff. But if I ever did, it would have to be somebody big, and it's really about the music. So putting his energy into something, like just knowing his worth and giving back what he had to offer, he was like, I wouldn't even put that kind of energy into something unless I knew it was something great. And I like that about him, that he was very intentional about where he puts his energy and how much he's giving to something. And if I'm gonna put into this, it's gonna be something amazing. And that's rare. That's very rare. A lot of people, because some people just out there trying to make money, and they're only thinking about, oh, I'm gonna just make this so I could make a quick buck. And he was not about that. Nah,
he really wanted to make sure that whatever he leaves has enough momentum to continue on. And I think that's where I said a few minutes ago is that I really want people to continue pushing the message, not just from him, but Dr. SEBI and everyone else that came before them as well, because we lose one person, that just can't stop the show. I watched,
and don't be so focused on the loss that you forget about the purpose.
Exactly. I follow a gentleman named Brother Polite. And Brother Polite talks about having leaders in our community. He says, people ask him, like, why don't you be like the next, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, one of our, next big leaders? And he says, because those people get murdered. The best way to help and cause a change is to do it in the background to a point where you're building people economically. That's exactly what he was doing. And then also you have to change their diet, right? It does you nothing if you have all the money in the world and your body's unhealthy and you're dying. It does you no good at all.
You're killing yourself.
So imagine if you're healthy and you're financially stable and free, what can you accomplish?
And you're
there?
mentally stable, you're emotionally stable, so you're not making irrational choices. You're thinking clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to facilitate healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to build healthy relationships in business and in your private life. So what are you creating? You're creating healthy, happy, like clear-minded people.
Yeah. I think that we are ready for it now. I think where we are, just as I'll just say the United States, period, right? I think we're ready for it now because we're so technical advanced in our culture that we can spread messages and share information like that. Mm-hmm. Versus before, if you try to get some type of propaganda out, you have to do a newsletter. I got to send it over here. I got to do a mailer. Now we can say, hey, check this out. Just click here. Just click here. Mm-hmm. And they're like,
and it costs you nothing.
Oh, that's all I have to do? Mm-hmm. I have access to the information. A lot of people want to be healthy. They just don't know how. If you've been taught your whole entire life that you eat this way and you think a certain way and you don't exercise and you don't, be more cautious about the things that you say and do, then you don't have a model on how to change it. When somebody comes in and say, hey, here's an option, do something like that.
And think about the foundation on which we were taught, right? Was all unhealthy.
Everything.
Like soul food. Yeah. It's not, the basis of that, the foundation of that is not soul feeding food, literally.
It's not for your soul.
No, you're talking about fat, you're talking about fried foods. Everything processed all the wrong ways. And it's not to say that it's not delicious. I'm definitely not saying that. Mm-hmm. But if that's what you're raising your family on, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. Yeah,
and because it's all a ploy. Obviously, somebody has to benefit from something, if it's good or bad. And I think the goal is now is just training yourself and others to do something a little bit different. Look at it in a whole different light. Make some other choices because we've been making only one. And that is what we've been taught. And I tell people all the time, look, how you're raised and how you're taught, that it's okay. Just start where you are. Mm-hmm. You know that, hey, I want to get healthier than what I am. If you go to your doctor and they tell you, I'm going to put you on a nutritional diet, they'll add some of the stuff we're talking about, like the vegetables and things. You eat some beets, this will happen for you. But they will say, well, you might want to stop eating that. Mm-hmm. But they won't tell you what replaces some of the nutrition value.
So then you end up with a vitamin deficiency of some type, and there are things as simple as like eliminating or including something in your diet that can create cravings for something else. Mm-hmm. Like if I stop eating this, I might create a larger craving for sugar, which is the number one thing that makes you gain weight and creates obesity is sugar. Yeah. We're all taught that it's fat. Yeah. But it's not. No. It's sugar.
Sugar.
So there are little points in a lot of nutritional based stuff that it's a choice that we make based on just not knowing, just ignorance.
Yeah, even with the fact that they've been telling us from the beginning that we need to drink milk, and milk causes mucus. Milk also is cow's milk, right? If you're drinking coconut milk or whatever it is, like almond milk. They even say some of that may not be good for you either, but cow's milk is for their calves. It's not for human consumption. But then you also have to think, it's literally cow pus. That's what you're drinking. And imagine what's that doing to your body. Nasty. But it's the truth, right? What are you doing to your body when you put that in you? You don't even need milk anymore ever in your life after you finish breastfeeding from your mom. You need milk no more. Mm-hmm. I learned that from an actual food scientist. He says, if you drink milk after your mom finished breastfeeding you, it's not doing anything but the negative effect to your body because you don't need it anymore. Our bodies are so sophisticated, they will let you know exactly what you need. But we put stuff in our body just because we want it. Mm-hmm.
But what we're taught to eat creates the craving to do that. Right. Even in like some research that I've read in reference to like substance abuse, there are people who smoke cigarettes that start drinking more, people that stop drinking that smoke more. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of things that when we stop one chemical, it creates a craving or a desire for something different based on what our body is missing, because our bodies work just like a machine.
Absolutely.
Right? Or if you think about it for a car, like it needs gas to run. But if we don't have gas and we can use something else to fuel ourselves, then we find whatever that is and our body feels that deficiency. So it's really just about balancing that out. And that's why he was so focused on a diet. And you don't have to make a bunch of changes. Like nobody's saying go out and buy one of Dr. Sebi's books and become like a plant-based nutritionist. No. But if it's something as simple as like changing, not drinking water a whole lot to drinking enough water every single day, then you can start there. Yeah. And then incorporating some things into your diet. Because I'll be honest, I looked at a nutritionalist. Some of that stuff I've never even heard of. As far as plants, vegetables, things like that. Or it's stuff I've heard of that I don't really eat every day. Or wouldn't really know how to prepare.
It's not available in your Walmart.
It's not always available. Or wouldn't know how to cook it or prepare it if you're all raw, all vegan or whatever. Wouldn't even know how to go about doing that. But there are ways to find out. So don't be defeated by our lack of knowledge, because that's what keeps people from kind of moving forward and growing. Just do some research and know what you need and what you don't need, and have an understanding for what's available to you and how you can find it.
Yeah. It's up to you. You have choices. You can do one or the other. It's really that easy. We don't live to eat, we eat to live. So keep that thought process as you think about what your diet is. So if you're eating some things that make you feel sluggish and it's like throwing you off chemically, you can feel it. Like Amanda said, like you can feel it. Do the things that make sense for you. If it doesn't serve you, why would you eat it? If it's not serving any purpose of just making you feel full, and feeling full is a false sense as well. Because we say we're hungry, we eat till we're full. But you're really only supposed to eat enough nutrition that will sustain you. That's it. When you're overfeeding yourself, it's like, oh man, I'm super full.
There's so many things out there that talk about just drinking water before you eat, or drinking water with your food, or small changes that we can make that make a huge difference in just the health and well-being and the extension of our lives.
Yeah. I want you guys to really think about some things we said today. Research Dr. Sebi. Like, to her point, you don't have to go buy the book. You don't have to buy all the things off his website. Just get a different perspective. It may not be something that you typically would see every day, but it doesn't mean that ignorance is an excuse. You have to at least research. We have these computers and cell phones at our fingertips every single day, and we have access to information that even 20, 30 years ago we didn't have.
It won't cost you nothing but a little bit of time.
A little bit of time. That's it. You're on your phone already. Just research a little bit and, see your life change a little bit.
And there's a bunch of stuff out there that's literally like a list. You don't even have to do no research, really. You could just Google it. And it's, a 5-second review of a list and go, oh, I can eat this a little more often.
Just a little bit. And, to the point, I'm not saying that all medications are bad. Just know that our bodies are amazing. It's geared and designed to heal itself. Some medical advancements
Some medications
are necessary.
Nobody's saying don't take medication.
Right.
If you take medication, if you have a necessity for medication,
right.
Or that's another topic.
Yeah.
But nobody's saying that. It's just saying you can improve your well-being in natural ways.
Absolutely.
And you take medication where it's an absolute necessity.
Yeah, you have an option. I always look at it as like, if a doctor prescribes me something, I said, is there an alternative?
And ask those questions
I can do outside of this. Some doctors can't tell you, but they say you may have to just research that. And
even for common mental health things like depression, anxiety, there are food changes that you can make. I'm not saying that eliminate those things, but definitely improve the quality of life, how those things manifest in you, the level of depression or anxiety that you experience. So you just got to do the research.
That's it. Do your research. Well, we're towards the end of the show. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Once again, our condolences goes out to the family and friends of Nipsey Hussle and Dr. Sebi, even though he's been gone for a little while. Their life and legacy will continue living on. You can always catch up on what their life was about through their websites and information online. But let's keep the message going and keep pushing their legacy along as well. Please go ahead and follow us on all our social media, on Facebook at More on Coffee, and on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel as well, and on Instagram at Morning Coffee. You can find me on Instagram at P Hakeem, and
down there. It's really long.
one day she'll get it. One day, I promise. She's just like,
It's down there.
and she made it up herself.
I did. But I made it up, spelled it out. I was like, yeah, that's what I was trying to do. But no, it's down there. Or there, or I don't know.
It's probably right there.
Okay.
Thank y'all for watching. I'm Prince Hakeem,
I'm Amanda Love.
and we'll catch you next time.